Welcome to Val's Sweet Kitchen. I got this recipe from my grandmom's treasure chest because it's been in our family a long time. But I updated it to make it into a tart or a pie. So preheat your oven to 425 and let's go have some fun. Start with your pie crust, and I left a link below on how to make the perfect flaky pie crust. I'm going to roll out about 2/3 of my pie crust, and as you roll it out, give it a quarter turn every so often. That'll help you keep it round and even. Got to take it to the 9-inch line because that's the size of my pie pan. And you just let it fall in under its own weight so it doesn't stretch out. You don't want it to stretch on the corners. And cut about a 1/2-inch hangover. Tuck it under and crimp the outside as you like and poke holes in the bottom with a fork. This is called docking. When it bakes, the steam is released and comes out of the holes instead of puffing up your pastry. And then get some parchment paper, crinkle it up, and this will help it get into all the nooks and crannies when we put the baking beans in. You can use baking beans, rice, but this way it molds to your crust. And I've got a ton of tips on how to prevent a soggy bottom. So stay tuned and then bake for 15 minutes. Then remove the beans and bake for 5 minutes longer. While your pie crust is blind baking, let's make some decorations. These are just little cookie cutters. And I found that if you bake them on a mat, you're less likely to over brown the bottom and it'll all be one color. Let's do this one next. My grandmom also used to take the leftover pie crust pastry and bake that with some cinnamon and sugar sprinkled on top. I can still remember the aroma through her house. Now for the tart, that's got some tricks in it. When you make your shortbread crust, save that extra egg white because we're going to need it. So we're going to take this one and roll it out just the same as the pie crust. And for the tart, you're going to need a 9-inch removable bottom tart pan and a cookie sheet, which is already heating up in the oven, which is set at 375, because we're going to blind bake this too. No soggy bottoms on my show. All right, and here's my little trick for getting it into the pan. And again, you want to let it just fall down under its own weight and work it and push it down into the corners. You want a nice even side. And just like the pie crust, you're going to dock the bottom. Make sure your beans are all the way against the sides and place it directly on that hot cookie sheet and bake for 15 minutes. It only takes a couple of minutes to dry out your crust. So take your egg white that you saved from when you made it and brush it on the bottom. This is going to help prevent a soggy bottom. I do this because some cans of pineapple have more moisture than others. All the liquid from the can when I drain it. So this is just a preventative measure. And then bake for 5 minutes longer. All right, and when your shells are cool, they're okay to put in your filling. So turn down your oven to 350 degrees. And you'll want to set your crushed pineapple draining very early on. You almost want it dry. And if you want to use real pineapple instead of the crushed in the can, 370 grams. That's how much you're going to need. We're going to add in a 1/4 cup of butter, unsalted. I always use unsalted. And room temperature. Everything should be at room temperature when you start. So put that in there and cream it. And add 1 cup of brown sugar and cream them together. Here's why you scrape down the bowl periodically. See right there? That's butter hiding. And then add in 3 eggs. 3/4 cup of light corn syrup. I love corn syrup. And a 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. If they're too big for your taste, don't worry about it. They're going to get all broken up in here when we mix it in. That was generous. And make sure your crushed pineapple is thoroughly drained before you add it in. Otherwise, you could have a soggy bottom. And scrape the bowl one final time just to make sure nothing's hiding anywhere. There's nothing worse than when you're pouring your batter and out comes a chunk of something. So that's what we're looking for. It's a treasure hunt. Live dangerously. Fill it all the way up to the brim. And then decorate the outside with some pecan halves. And then bake for 60 to 70 minutes or until there's a little jiggle in the middle. And then for the whipped cream on top, you take 1 cup of heavy cream, 1 cup of sugar, and whisk those together to stiff peaks. I'm going to do both pie and tart at the same time. Add your vanilla extract. Whip that to stiff peaks and pipe it on. Make sure your pie and your tart are completely cooled. If not, your whipped cream is going to melt. And the crust cookies are really good too. This is delicious. I hope you have fun today. If you did, give it a like, thumbs up, leave a comment, and boop that bell. This is so good. Oh my gosh. Got a little bit of the tropics happening here.